I'm Daniel. I'm a dad with a 7-month-old baby boy on my hands. I will share my stories and learnings from being a father throughout this podcast.
I'm Marcus. I have 3 kids, a 2-year-old girl, a 4-year-old boy, and a 6-year-old boy.
So without further ado,
Podcast.
let's get to it.
I feel like whatever you do, well, it is kind of a man or father. It's just never enough.
Exactly, you never get a day off.
Today we will share our own stories, hear from you guys, the real dads, unpack why guilt, this dad guilt, follow us everywhere, and maybe even how we can carry it a little lighter.
Exactly. So the dad guilt, how would you describe it for our dear listeners? Like how it feels like?
Well, for me, that guilt is probably agents' instincts in us as men. Go from being the kind of hotshot in the movie, a single couple, to suddenly all our worlds is around these small beings. You kind of feel so overwhelmed or overtaken. You can stand, especially when you're alone. But I have one situation that I want to mention where I'm out. He just started to walk, and we were at a restaurant. I was kind of looking like a clown from the outside, I think, because I was running around doing push-ups on the floor with him on top of me, playing hide and seek between the tables, and just running around making weird sounds and laughed and feeling good about it. But there was a certain point where I realized, like, is this fucking normal? Or am I just super crazy because no one else in the restaurant with kids was running around like I did? But I would say after some time, I also came to realize that do what your gut tells you, because there is no preparation that will 100% prepare you for being a dad or what comes after. Take the jump and own the decision.
Absolutely.
But that guilt is probably weighing harder when financials, work stress, relationship is not going so well compared to when things are absolutely blissful and everything is just according to plan.
Exactly. Easy going.
Exactly. What about you?
Well, for me, the dad guilt might be the feeling of maybe the fear of missing out of these certain type of milestones that my kid is getting during his development, that because I'm focusing on work, my relationships, my friendships as well, that I need to focus on so many things that I might miss out of something important that my kid does or feels important, especially later on. So that's something that goes with me every single day. But of course, that's just like, how would I say it? It's just a feeling, it comes and goes up and down every now and then. So of course you don't feel guilty all the time, but every now and then, especially when you're going hard with your work, you're focusing on it, and then you realize like, okay, you have a kid waiting for you at home and would probably love to spend some time with you. And then I started to think like, okay, am I a bad dad now that I'm not able to spend so much time with them, even though I wanted to? So maybe that's a good example about how I feel about the dad guilt itself.
And I would agree up to the point where it's a two-edged sword, because if you look at reality about your dad making money, like protecting the family, making ends meet, I totally agree with the guilt of feeling like you're not enough with your family.
Yes,
It's weighing very heavy and very hard.
exactly. Even though you're doing all of this work and everything for your family as well, to be able to
Exactly.
support them, to be able to, do nice things for them, buy them presents or whatever you like to do with your family. But, that's definitely one thing.
It is hard because you want to teach your kids to make money and buy freedom. you also want to be able to, like you say, don't miss out on the milestones. It shouldn't be on the cause that dad wasn't there. Dad never came to the school projects or whatever it could be. And in the perfect world, I must say honestly, if I could let everything go and just be with my kids for a year or two straight up every day, doing stuff that I liked, I would definitely choose to do that.
100% I agree on that one. And unfortunately, it's not too realistic at the moment, at least. But who knows?
We could be the freaks of the town, that just shut everything down and just live like hillbillies and made our own water and stuff like that.
Exactly. And good example of feeling this dad guilt for me, because my kid is pretty young at the moment and he's just learning how to crawl, maybe how to walk soon. And one day I was having a normal day at the office, focusing on the things that I do. And I got a video call from my wife, and I could see that my son is able to sit by himself already, which obviously is amazing thing to see. But that gave me a feeling as well, like, oh, what if I could have been there to let my son see me and, feel that I'm present in that moment. So that might be a very good example of feeling that guilt as well.
Absolutely. And I think also for myself that in these situations where you say like you're at work, some milestone has passed, they drop their first teeth or take their first step or whatever it could be, then you have to kind of justify it for yourself with nothing of this would be happening if you weren't working.
Yeah.
Plus your own development is also still in play for the rest of our lives. There is this whole talk about when we stop or stagnate, we actually go back and procrastinate.
Exactly.
Instead of going forward and having success and learning new things and all this. But I was thinking, like, I don't know if you had this conversation with your wife. I kind of seen it in moments, but do you think that moms also got the mom guilt?
I would believe so, but maybe in a different type of concept of guilt, itself. Of course, their type of guilt might be related to how they are managing, taking care of the kid, or maybe something like that. It's very hard for me to say, obviously, because I didn't have too deep conversation with my wife yet, at least, but that would be definitely one of the things I think we should.
Could kind of imagine it was a lot about what you're saying and social expectations. And there's, of course, also the whole family cultural pressure.
Yeah.
Depending on what culture you're coming from. But yeah, I mean, the best picture of that guilt I probably have is the mornings where I am not up for it. 40 to 50% of the time, I manage to somehow get through the morning, put them to school and all this. I would say I'm maybe 20% of the dad that I am on the days where I have energy, and that is bringing guilt in some way because I know they can feel that I'm not 100%.
Exactly, but also that's kind of natural thing at the same time. So I don't think we should whip ourselves too much regarding that, even though it's very hard at the times. And of course, when you start to think about the comparing side, when you're trying to compare yourself to the other dads around you or even online, and that's a terrible thing.
It can be a dangerous path.
Exactly, especially when you compare yourself to the stories that you read online, because of course the things that people usually post online are so, surrounded with only the good, nice things in general. So that's not a realistic thing.
Organic cotton and
exactly
all this. Yeah. I have a good trick for this one, and listeners can use that too. I personally know people who can't see their kids, like, at all. I can definitely tell you that is devastating, both to see the dad guilt that has weighed so heavy in on that they probably have periods where they give up, don't feel like fighting for getting the relationship back or able to see their kids. So that's a good one to compare yourself with in these situations, because it's easy to see that you're having a way better road, probably also a way better vehicle than then many other don't have the same advantages or the same drive as you are.
Yeah, and I think that's a very good thing to say and think about, because now that I think about it, I feel so privileged that I'm able to see my son so often, to be able to be present in those important moments.
Absolutely. I mean, I believe firmly that a dad should set boundaries and limits, and the mom should be the all loving, all caring heart of the family.
Yes.
And not that he should be a cold ass motherfucker, but definitely set some limits. And I remember having throughout the years and with the different kids now tested many different ways and tools. And I actually heard this video or podcast, I can't remember, that was talking about exactly this subject. And when you try to see yourself posturing when you're upset or emotionally overwhelmed, tired, or whatever, compared to when you are totally energized, totally okay, it's like the first one, you're going to war, It's pretty scary to see yourself either on video or camera or something when you are upset. And that has been a good reminder throughout the years for me to be able to take myself earlier and earlier in these emotions, either because I did something, didn't sleep enough.
Yeah, it gives you a whole lot of different image of yourself. And for me also, when I start to think about this thing, whenever I'm feeling the dad guilt regarding things that I'm not doing enough, I feel like I need to push more, to be able to give out more. But for me, that hasn't worked too well. It just makes me even more tired, more frustrated, more stressed. It's just a huge snowball effect, I would say. Dad didn't want.
Okay, so welcome back. This is actually really exciting because we left this out of episode 1 and we promised to catch you guys up on finding out the first time that we were going to be dads. So your first time, how was that?
It was actually a very wonderful moment and very scary moment at the same time, because I was waiting actually to become a father. We had tried to get a baby 1 month previously already, so we were kind of preparing for this already.
All right, so it was planned thing,
Yes, it was very planned thing that we wanted to have the baby, and after the first month, when it actually didn't happen, we kind of agreed not to think about it too much and just, flow with it, pretty much. But I have to say, on the second month, we were also in the middle of moving houses at the same time and experiencing a little bit stress regarding that as well. So when we actually finished moving to a new house, put all the stuff where it should be, my wife was still feeling a little bit upset in my own head. She was very easily annoyed. And then it kind of hit me that, could she actually be pregnant?
Oh, you didn't know at this time?
No, we didn't still know, but I was
Okay.
thinking like maybe she could be pregnant because she had missed her period also already
Right.
in the previous week. And I was thinking about like, okay, let me actually check this thing for myself. I went to the
So you went and took a test on yourself?
no. I wish it would have been so easy, but kind of fortunately, no. So I went to the very close grocery store next to our house, bought some snacks for my wife and also the pregnancy test at the same time. I drove back home, gave her the snacks, let her be comfy for a little bit, and then I kind of smoothly showed the pregnancy test for her, like, what if? Kind of, and winking the eye for her. And she was like, nah, this couldn't be it. But then she took the test, gladly went to the toilet. I didn't hear anything for the next 5 minutes, I have to say. But after that, all I can hear was, screaming out in a happy way. So of course I went to check, like, what the fuck is going on? My wife came out from the toilet with tears on her face and she showed me the pregnancy test and it was positive.
Wow.
So it was kind of shocking moment, but in very happy way, I have to say. And from that moment on, we were both just hyping it up, calling our family, calling our parents that, okay, we're about to become fathers. So now we just have to wait for it to happen pretty much. And that started all the preparation for the upcoming pretty much.
Very nice. I hope you were about to become parents, not fathers, both of you.
Yes.
Just joking.
No worries. What about you?
Well, it was it was really beautiful in a way, but not as blissful as yours. New house, new baby, But
Yeah.
we were living together already at that point, and we were actually, to be honest, in a very bad place. We had this huge fight, I remember, and I was coming home late in the night, and we were still like kind of not talking. So I was doing my things, going to bed, and then she came in and woke me up, and like in this weird position where we were fighting, she had like this little gift for me.
Mm,
And I was like, why are you giving me a gift
this is
in
very
the middle of a
suspicious.
fight? This is really suspicious, what's going on? And I was like, yeah, I can look at it tomorrow, and she was like, no, kind of not.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's going on here? Let me see. And I opened the present, and in there, surprise, pregnancy test that was positive.
Okay.
And the beautiful part of it was the emotion going through me at exactly that point, because if you have asked me before, not exactly on that day, but I would probably say that it would have went different than it did. But in all of those 30 seconds to 1 minute, I decided that there's two to a tango, and this is my kid we're talking about. So all the anger kind of disappeared, and went into this blissful moment of hugging, and she was like maybe also a little bit surprised that I took it the way I did at this moment, and it
Yeah.
was quite nice. Unfortunately, she lost the baby 3 months in, which is kind of normal when you look into it for the first time mother, that she loses the first kid.
Yeah, it's very, very likely to happen, unfortunately.
Exactly.
And of course, very hard hit to take for both of the parents.
Especially for the mother.
Yeah.
Because at that point I didn't have an attachment, and I was like freaking out big time in many other areas because I didn't know what to expect, like we talked about before.
Exactly.
But really beautiful moment in that matter, not planned anything. The next one and the first one was then planned.
Yes, and how was that experience for you guys, and especially for you?
That was a bit different, and like I said, it was a little bit more planned, and this was with the whole charade, and we kept it secret, especially because of the first experience. So we wanted to go over the 3 months where we were a little bit more certain that this was going to stick around for the birth.
Yeah.
So we did that, and made the announcement afterwards. We waited actually because in her religion there is a lot of superstitions about how you can jinx the whole thing. So we couldn't buy like baby equipment or preparing before very late in the 9 months pregnancy.
It's very nice that you're saying these things, because now that I look back, we had very similar situation regarding those type of things. And of course, like I said previously, we told to our parents that we were about to become father and a mother later on, but we also had exactly the same thing, that we're not going to announce it publicly until 3 months that we're going to have a baby, or that we're not going to buy any stuff for the baby until like 8 months of the pregnancy,
yes,
something
8
like
months.
that.
Yeah, that was it. And that was another little funny end of the story, that after the 8 months, we were going to a huge baby festival that she planned, and really hyped me up for, and I knew that I was gonna bring the credit card and the wallet, because this was gonna be kind of expensive. And I was also kind of excited because now I could see she was pregnant. We were at this baby festival. There was only kids and pregnant people. So, you were all kind of in the same boat. You could just see the dads, walking around with like kind of this uncomfortable face, because they knew they were going to pay, and they knew you could get, like, seriously, guys, everything for a baby you could imagine, it was there. I was even competitions with babies running up and down for winning prizes, and it was crazy. But it was really fun to have that experience as well.
Absolutely, that sounds very interesting, and now I feel kind of bad that I missed that type of thing. But maybe for the next babies, if we're gonna have any, we might have chance to visit those type of festivals.
I would say with the age of your kid at the moment, it probably would still be very interesting to go to, because that is like all these different kid stores that have a place on this festival where they want to promote their different. Of course, most of it is like birth and after birth related.
Yeah, for the like newborns.
Exactly. But there's also like these car seats, there is like these strollers, there's bags, and there's a tons of different funny things.
Okay, so now it gets interesting. So definitely gotta look that up.
Absolutely. I will send you a link.
Thank you.
Dear listeners, if you have any experience that resonate with our stories, or you have your own completely different, we would love to hear that. But this was kind of the end of how we found out we were going to be fathers. There is a hard fine line between being able to take out the good lessons even in the bad situations, and to not be able to do that because of energy lack, tiredness, or whatever. And when you are in the second one, it is destroying hard, and it is drowning while you're standing still.
Exactly. As well.
It was very nice reflecting on the whole dad guilt with you, and I think we can kind of name it and say in the situations where we forward gonna get in guilt trip of dad guilt, we should all remember on the situations that people are not always available for each other in shorter or longer periods. And we are lucky to be able to be with our families on a daily or weekly basis. We're lucky to get the chance of setting a new life in this world and having an impact on teaching them how the whole shit works.
Exactly. So maybe one advice I could give would be that every time that you feel overwhelmed or stressed about these things, or feeling the guilt itself, just take a moment for yourself, stop whatever you're doing in that moment and think clearly about all the good things that you're able to experience and you're able to have in this beautiful world. Like you said, you're able to see your family and kids, you're able to do things with them, and, being an absolutely amazing father in general.
Yeah. That guilt, I think we can agree it's heavy, but it's also proof, I would say, that dads care.
Yes.
And next episode, we are going to dig into the tricky balance between discipline and fun. How do you guide your kids without becoming the tantrum or the bad cop, so to speak? This is about real dads, talking to real dads, sharing knowledge, taking data, and reflecting on being a dad.
Thank you, guys, and have a good night. That's it for today's episode of Dad and Then What? Thank you for tuning in.
Stick around and be part of the conversation. Because being a dad is never just one story.
Dad and then what? Real talk, real dads. Life hits hard, but we bounce right back. We grow, we learn, we laugh on the track. Dad and then what? Yeah, we got your back. Every day's a mission, but we stay in the fight. From diapers to doubts to the late night life. Real men talk, we don't keep it inside. Tune in, level up, bring the dad wave on. Then what? The podcast.